Started. Ralph Womble and Vivian both are unable to make it this morning. If there are no objections, I'll kind of run point on just kind of getting the agenda moving, and then we'll kind of go from there. We will need to take roll call prior to us starting, and also roll call when we vote on the minutes. But we do have a quorum, and so we'll be able to take that action. So good morning. Due to the governor's recent order, all members of the Downtown Winston-Salem Business Improvement District Advisory Committee are participating virtually. For virtual meetings, committee members will be muted until asked to be heard. At that time, they will be recognized and will be unmuted. When there is a vote, it will be necessary to take a roll call vote. A committee member will be recognized and will raise their hand and state their vote. Today's meeting is a public meeting. Per the notice posted earlier this month, citizens can listen to the meeting if they made the prior necessary arrangements prior to this meeting. The meeting is also being live streamed via the city's YouTube channel, which can be accessed via the City of Winston-Salem YouTube page. A recording of today's meeting will be available later this week on the city's website. And so thank you all for coming. Before I do a roll call, I do want to just recognize and thank Councilmember Jeff McIntosh and Councilmember Annette Scipio for joining us today. Good morning to you both. So now we'll start. We'll do an official roll call, and then we'll get on with the agenda. Tony Brett. Tony, you're muted, I think. Let's see
here. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Here.
Thank you. Chad Cheek.
Here.
Shannon Meyer.
Here.
Charles Wilson.
Here.
Lauren Desai.
Here.
Ralph Womble. Kelly Brown. Vivian Joyner. Rodney Davis. Okay, thank you all. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our August meeting. And so I'll entertain a motion for approval or any amendments to the minutes as submitted.
So moved.
Okay, Chad with the motion.
I'll second it.
Who is that? Is that Shannon?
Yes.
Okay, and we'll need to do a roll call vote for this. So we'll go down the roll. Tony Brett.
In favor.
Chad Cheek.
In favor.
Shannon Meyer.
In favor.
Charles Wilson.
Favor.
Lauren Desai.
Favor.
All right, thank you. The minutes are approved. Thank you all for joining us today. Our agenda will be similar to how it's been in the past. I'll kind of do a little update on some things on the city side, and then I'll turn it over to Jason, who will give you an update kind of on the status of a lot of the bid services updates that have been going on since we last met in August. And so on the city side, there's just two items really to bring to your attention. Last week on Monday evening, it was October the 19th, Jason presented the annual report to our mayor and city council. That's a requirement of North Carolina state statutes regarding municipal service districts. And when we get to Jason's portion, if he's willing, I can pull it up and we can kind of run you through it and then provide copies to you as well. The second kind of item to bring you up to speed on is this current year is the final year of the city's contract with the Downtown Winston-Salem Partnership for providing services within the Business Improvement District. And so what that means is by law, we have to go through a process which includes bidding out the services. The first step in that process is to solicit feedback from the citizens that are affected by the Business Improvement District tax. And so we'll be hosting that meeting on Zoom next Thursday, November the 5th at 6 p.m. And I'll be sending you guys a link and information to that if you're interested in joining. After that, we'll issue an RFP sometime in November, and the November to December timeline will give agencies an opportunity to bid on the services. Our next meeting in either November or December, I'll provide you some feedback on what we heard from citizens. And at our December meeting, we'll present to you kind of the findings and what the recommendation is for the new contract before it goes to City Council, likely in January. One part of the City Council's process is prior to their award of the contract, a public hearing will be required. And so we'll be doing that again prior to them having it up for a vote on their agenda. So if anyone has any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer it. And again, I'll send you that link to the public input session, which will be held next Thursday. Hearing no questions, I will turn it over to Jason Thiel for the Business Improvement District Services update. Jason?
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Can you go a little louder, Jason?
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna leave it. I think I can share my screen, and I'm gonna do that, if that's okay. You had mentioned, okay. So hopefully this should bring up the back page of the annual report. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go through and just, we can download this annual report. It's on our homepage at downtownws.com for anybody to review, and I can email it to anybody that would care to have it sent to them. I do like the before and after pictures of some of the things that we've been able to accomplish and keep accomplishing, which is the graffiti removal at the top. And you see a lot of before and after photos, before and after. We've been replacing a number of the trash can lids and cigarette receptacles, doing a lot of planting right now. Number 4 on this is becoming relevant because we're getting into the year where leaf and snow removal is going to be, particularly leaf removal is very heavy. And so you'll hear a lot of the buzzing of the leaf blowers and the other material that comes up. We've also done a lot of other things. It's been an odd year. I think that going through this, I think a lot of you guys are familiar with most of this, it's a rehash of much of the things that we've been involved with. One of the things that we're working on right now is the changeover of the tree wells with vegetation ready for the winter. As you notice, the hanging flower pots just came down as they normally do this time of year on 4th Street and Trade Street. The decorations for the holidays will be going up very soon, and that'll be all of the wreaths across the downtown area, which we have purchased some replacement Moravian stars. Those are some of the things that are incredibly important. One of the things that you'll see, like a lot of effort has been going towards like Shop the Block campaign. This is the advertisement in today's Winston-Salem Journal, and you'll see that advertised in several digital and media outlets. So that is coming up soon, and that's November 5th through the 8th after the election. And we concluded the final weekend of the Streetery this past weekend, and that went on for a good while. First one was in mid-July. We've been looking at doing some new programs for enhancement of the scenery downtown. And we've been looking at a number of different projects. And I'm always anxious to hear your thoughts and ideas about doing some other things, but lighting the trees is something that I'm keen to consider, and I wanted to get y'all's feedback before I went further. But one of the things that we saw and we've had in the past with tree lighting is that the efforts by the city have been to do uplighting of the trees themselves with lights at the bottom, and that oftentimes gives us challenges with the lighting going out, so it's not consistent. We saw Greg Carlisle, who owns Local 27101, I think he's changing the name of it. He did some simple string lighting on the trees. He said it took him about 5 hours to do it. And so the one thing I was thinking about is the trees, and talking to the city vegetation folks, is that they don't want them permanently done. And so I thought about doing a phase one of maybe 1 or 2 blocks in downtown, doing alternate trees for about 10 total. I think that would probably cost about $5,000. So that's one project that I've been thinking about doing. We could alternate the trees each year. But, you know, it would have, I think, a dramatic impact on the lights on the trees. So that's one project that we could undertake as an enhancement. The other one, and this is something that I don't have a picture of it right now, but if you look at 3rd Street, right at Town Run Lane, there's a parking deck that has precast concrete that is the back of the New Hampton Inn Hotel's parking deck, and it covers the facade of the parking deck, faces Town Run Lane and 3rd Street. And I've talked to the owner of that building, of that parking deck from the Hampton Inn. It's the CN Hotels Property Group. And they would be willing to allow us to engage in some creative use, like a mural painted on the exterior of the building. And I thought that might be something that would be complementary to the future Children's Museum. That's another idea that I'm talking about that I'd like to talk to each of you guys, maybe offline or today, but that's something that I think might be something that would be worthy of considering in next year's budget. But that would be something that we might cooperate with the Public Art Commission and have them undertake some selection and management of the art for us, since they do such a good job with it. And a couple of other ideas, but I just wanted to share our feedback. So for us, a lot of it is constantly just working on the maintenance and cleanliness of downtown.
Hey, Jason, I've got a question from the annual report on the social media statistics. It doesn't look like we're getting a lot of new traffic. You think we're just saturated? You think we've gotten what we're going to get, or sort of any payback for maybe trying to up those numbers?
Which numbers are you looking at, Jeff?
Well, Facebook new likes, Twitter new followers, you know, they're in the 400s. You know, and total followers on Twitter, 14,918. Is that just how big the universe is? That's what we're going to get?
Yeah, so what we're seeing, I think that's a great question, because what we're seeing across the country is like we have a pretty, like I compared it to our peers, and we're definitely higher than some of our peers. And there is, I think, a certain amount of followers in Facebook and Twitter that you're going to get, but Instagram has really been the growth atmosphere, the growth engine for our social media. So we're well over 18,000 followers there. And so that's where we see a big impact of our social media. We're also seeing an increase in page views on our website, but I am seeing a retraction on Twitter being a vehicle for meaningful work for us. It's really been Instagram that's been the big player.
Okay.
But that's a great question. I mean, it's so much so that really, like, like I've noticed the Twitter followers, but it is really Instagram is our big engine, and we do have a large following there. We're doing very well on that, I believe.
And I'll just add to that. I've noticed that the hashtag, the DWTS hashtag, is like has taken off exponentially. I mean, I think there's like almost 140,000 tags, which is awesome to see.
So all the cool kids are on Instagram these days, huh?
Yeah.
You know, that's true about the hashtag, and I think and I think that's really something that I think you've succeeded in, and I know a lot of people have different opinions about that, but when you start something and other people own it, is really the goal, is that it's been supplanted. It does sometimes get like confused very with Dancing with the Stars, DWTS, and that's kind of funny. Like, you know, a lot of people use it, but that's just an aside. Sorry.
Can I ask a question? So we're onto the new budget spending now, right? So is it possible to sort of save some of the spending until the spring of next year, when there's sort of a better possibility of more people coming downtown and possibly doing a campaign to get people back downtown, versus like starting to spend money now when kind of we're heading into winter and uncertainty?
Yeah, well, yes, and we are going to be doing some campaign work, and the Shop the Block campaign is something that we wanted to space out from the streetery time that we spent time with. But yes, we will be doing some advertising campaign in the spring, and we will have funds to do that, Lauren. And in talking to folks and retailers, you know, I take your point, and it's hard to say don't do something now, but I take your point fully, and I get it. But we will have funds to do other things. We're not spending it all now. You know,
Any other questions for Jason or myself? Okay, well, a little bit of kind of just housekeeping going into the next few months as we get into the holidays. Our next two scheduled meetings are for November the 24th, which is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, and then December the 15th. Based on the timeline for the contract renewal process, I would anticipate the December meeting definitely happening. The November one, I'll kind of talk with Jason and just see if there's much, if anything, to update you on, separate from what we've kind of already provided updates on, and make a decision on that meeting, knowing that we're kind of getting into the holiday season. And then as we go into the new year, we'll start looking at next year's budget already and next year's work plan. One kind of, I want to say caveat, but one additional aspect that will kind of drive some of the budget discussion, it's a revaluation year. And so that will also affect all the downtown properties and the downtown valuation, and what that does ultimately to the budget and next year's work plan for the partnership or whatever agency happens to win that bid. Our timeline for that will provide ample time that we're not rushing at the last minute going into the budget discussion and budget adoption.
Hey, Stephen, have we been through a reval cycle since the bid has been in existence?
Yes, we've been through one. It was maybe 1 or 2 years after the first.
Yeah.
Or let's see, this is 2017.
Okay.
was the first one, and that was, talking with John Burgess, the tax director. The downtown's very volatile, and I think that's on a year-to-year basis, and I think that's the brief discussions we've had with him leading up to that is that position has stayed the same, and so once we have that information, we'll provide all to you and what its impact is on the bid and the bid budget. Any other final thoughts, questions, concerns? Well, I want to thank you all for joining us this morning. Still continue the virtual thing, but hope you are being safe. Starting to get a little colder, so stay warm. And if you all need anything, please never hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to answer any questions, provide any information that I can.
All right. Good meeting.
All right. Well, thank you all. You all have a good day. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we are adjourned.